Hey everyone, welcome back to another Slime Fun episode with your host Boomer. I am so happy to finally be back in front of my computer and be able to record again. I know it's been a couple of weeks, a lot of traveling, but today we want to talk about farming. And you think, well, hold on. Why in the world, Boomer, are we talking about farming of all things in Slime Fun? Well, believe it or not, there's actually a lot of options, and especially early game, it's critical that you've got some sort of food source going. And we've got a lot of options within Slimefun in order to do that. So let's take a look. Now, normally, when I start a survival world, the first thing I go looking for is a village, right? I want to get some carrots or some potatoes like I've got here, get some basic farm going. We'll add some more dirt, keep expanding until I've got a good food source to where either you can make baked potatoes or I can get carrots going, whatever it is, bread, whatever we need to get going. Now, one of the best early game food crop farms is actually going to be affected because it's very similar to just sitting here and bone mealing everything, but early game you don't have bone meal. So if you're early Slime Fun, we do have something from Fluffy Machines called the water sprinkler. Now, I don't believe I've actually even talked about this at all on the channel yet. So water sprinkler is really a basic kind of like a farming tool. We'll pull it up here real quick. It's a very cheap, here 4 iron ingots, 2 buckets, a small capacitor, a dispenser, and an electric motor. Very simple to craft early game. And all you need is a power source, and it doesn't take much. If we look at this, it's drawing 2 joules per tick per crop. A solar generator that generates 4 joules per second will run this. Nice and easy. As soon as we plant this directly over a water source, watch what happens. The animation kicks in, the crops grow. Look at the rate they're growing. They will grow in 2 block direction in any way. Left, right, front, backwards, diagonally. As you can see, this 3rd row is not growing. But you saw how fast that works? And you might think, well, I need 20 or 30 of these. Right now, you don't. You need 1, because by the time you harvest and replant, it's already regrown the crops. I could sit this and do this for hours, over and over and over. So it's a great early game source to get going. Now, you could fully automate this with Android farmers. And that's an episode that maybe we'll do later on in the future. But if I put programmable farmers, right? If I came down here and I grabbed this guy right here, and I programmed it to harvest over and over and over, I don't need organic food to fertilize this. I can simply use the water sprinkler. I could place 24 androids on top of this. Well, not 24. I'd create a nice little farm to where I'd have the item pushing, the fuel pulling, set this up, and we could run as a full android farm with this to create food. Real easy, real simple. All right, let's move on to something that we have not really talked about. Now, I'm not going to go into the full tutorial here on equivalency talk, but equivalency talk does have a way for you to make crops. Let's say you've been mining, right? And you're down in a world and you've got, a whole bunch of cobblestone left over. Let's say we got ourselves 64 cobblestone, all right? If we open up the dissolution chest and we stick this 64 cobblestone in, what will happen is this chest will turn the cobble into EMC. It'll give us essentially an energy source. And as it's working right now, it's turning that cobble into EMC. You have to reopen it to get that new value every time. It doesn't automatically do that. But every time I open, I can see I'm gaining EMC. I'm gaining energy that I can now convert into something else. Now, every item that goes in a dissolution chest is assigned a value. There's, I believe, 891 items. Yes. So currently, I have 891 items that I could, if unlocked, stick into this chest, and it will give me energy in return, which I can convert into other items. Now, when I look at stone and cobble, they have a value of 1. Carrots have a value of 2. So if I went mining and I had 2 stacks of cobblestone, I would be able to turn this into 1 stack of carrots. Really nice way to get some food. So what is my current value? Let's take a look. EMC, I have 30. So if I click on synthesize, look at this. I can keep going. And you can see behind it in my chat, my EMC is gone, but I now have 16 carrots. So I have a food source from mining. How nice is that? We could have also have used the condensate chest as well, but apparently I'm making stone out of that, so we'll save that for a later date. All right, let's move on here. We have Dynatech's growth chambers. Also requires power, and each one runs at a different speed. The basic growth chamber looks like it's approximately 12 seconds to process it. Now here you would use cargo to loop it back and forth, and this is a level 1 growth chamber. If I move over to the level 2 chamber, the nice thing about this one is you could have multiple ones that you can put up here. So let's say you want to do carrots, potatoes, let's see what else we got, wheat, beetroot, cactus, cocoa beans, whatever. You'll see that not only did I get 3 times the value back, but it processed in 3 times the speed. So if I put in a carrot, I put in a potato, and I want another carrot, it'll take it from that top row, process them, and I get 9 times the yield. Now, granted, the recipe to craft it is a lot more expensive. So if you wanted to loop this, you could simply have cargo nodes moving the same item back and forth until it fills up. You could round robin some of it out so that the bottom area doesn't fill up. Eventually, the cargoes will pull it out. Infinity expansion, somewhere I tend to spend a lot of time in. We have the basic virtual farm. Let me grab some of these spuds. We have the advanced virtual farm, and then we have the infinity virtual farm. Now, as far as speed, those numbers were pulled out. It used to show how much time was left. Now, as you can see, the infinity one, this is the ultra fast one. It's 25 times faster than the basic and 5 times faster than the advanced. Approximately every 6 seconds, I believe it is. Yep, about every 6 seconds, the virtual farm plants 1, grows 3, replants 1, grows 3, replants 1. So you keep getting 2 back on average. Here on the advanced virtual farm, it's approximately every, if I'm trying to do math on camera, sorry, Seffi, roughly 30 seconds. It's going to reproduce. And then down here, it's approximately every 2.5 minutes. As you can see, we don't even have one off the basic. Each one has different power requirements. So if we were to look these up, we pull the basic virtual farm, 36 joules per second. If we pull up the advanced, 180, so it uses 5 times the power, but it also reproduces at 5 times the speed. And then we come to the infinity, which is a whole lot faster and draws much more power. So 5 times here would have been 900 joules per second, but instead we're drawing 1800. So you are paying a little bit higher premium on a power, but at 25 times the speed. If you need a ton of crops, a ton of material that you can harvest out of this, let's say you're making a humongous purple house or building, this would be what you'd want to run. Stick that coarse fruit in there, or the flour, and get tons of coarse fruit back repeatedly over and over. Now, granted, these are not beginning game farms. This one is probably mid-game. These two are much closer to approaching your end game. It's not something you're going to do on day one like you could either manually or with the water sprinkler. Now, I briefly mentioned the farming Android as well. Farming Android will cover your basics, your wheat, your potatoes, your beetroot, your carrots. I'm sure I think there's one other crop it'll do. Androids, as you know, are not beginning game. They are mid-game. You need to have GPS, right? You need to have fuel in some cases, depending on which one you're doing. But the farmer Android, the downside of the farmer is that it needs something to grow the crops, whether it's bone meal, whether it's the water sprinkler, whether it is the crop growth accelerator. It needs something to speed it up to make it worth the effort. Now, there is one more, technically one more option, and that's light expansion. Now, this would definitely be an end game option for you. For example, let's pull out the cobble. if I have a ton of extra stuff left over, for whatever reason, I've got cobble just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. Am I out of power? Nope, I'm good. There we go. Okay. So it's converting this leftover cobble into scrap for me. Scrap then goes into the mass fabricator, and after you reach, I believe it's 200, you're going to get some UU matter. So to begin with, it takes approximately 5 seconds to turn an item from, in this case, cobble into scrap. We need 200 scrap to make ourselves UU matter. Now the UU matter then can be crafted in the recipes or in a Slimefun guide. If we craft this, look at that, I now have 48 cactus. And this is configurable by the server admin or owner. They can actually configure recipes, configure the layout of the recipe, I believe, to decide what is it that you want to have. Now, granted, this is an expensive way in comparison to some of the other options, but it is still an option. I know that when you get endgame, when you're talking deep end, light expansion, infinity expansion, you have a ton of stuff lying around. You have excess dust, excess cobble. Why not at least put it to good use? Because there are quite a few configured recipes already within light expansion. Let's just take a quick, brief look at some of those here. So you see all of these are already configured. You can get cactus, you can get cocoa beans, you can get sugarcane, we can get vines. All those are already in there, not to mention everything else that you see on the screen. Now for me, I might be tempted to turn the excess stuff into diamonds. Now I'm not going to run one recycler. I'm not going to run, one fabricator. I'm going to run a dozen. I'm boomer. I don't run one. I might run 2 dozen. Just don't want to lag out the server. But we have tons of options that way. So whether you're doing it manually, the water sprinkler, or somewhere in between of any of all these options, Slimefun has a lot of farming options available. And with that, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you guys as always for being a part of the channel, for your support, your encouragement, your feedback, comments, suggestions, you name it. I love it. And don't forget, when you're playing Minecraft, you got to go boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.